Hello and welcome to lecture 16. During this lecture, we are going to look at JavaScript, which is a client-side programming language. The first topic we are going to look at is the purpose of JavaScript. Why use it? JavaScript is client-side scripting, or client-side code. This is code that runs in the web browser after the page is sent back from the server. This code is often used to manipulate the page or respond to user interaction. So, for a typical request, the web browser makes a request to the web server, which might run some PHP code or do other work. The HTML document is then retrieved or built and then sent to the web browser. At this time, the JavaScript code can then be executed. So the question is often asked, so why do we use client-side programming? Why do we need to use it? PHP already allows us to create a dynamic web page using the user's input. So why then client-side scripting? Well, there are some great benefits to using client-side scripting or JavaScript in our case. First of all, usability. JavaScript can modify a page without having to post back to the server. Anything we can keep on the web browser itself speeds up the whole process, especially on slower internet connection. It's also extremely efficient. We can make small, quick changes to the page without having to, again, make a request to the server to get information back and to do a page refresh. JavaScript is an event-driven language, meaning it sits there waiting for something to happen. For instance, the user clicks something which then initiates a series of the processes, with each one responding to the previous event until the action is completed. Some of the server-side programming, the benefits in PHP that we don't have in client side is a security. Anything on the server is considered secure. Nobody can see the source code or what's going on, and the data is protected. Another benefit of server-side programming is compatibility. With client-side programming, we have to deal with the different web browsers, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, and they don't all handle JavaScript in the same way. Also, PHP can also read and write files on the server or allow the user to download those files. However, JavaScript does not have any of these permissions. It has no ability to read or write files on the local computer. JavaScript is a lightweight scripting language. It's mainly used to make web pages interactive. It can dynamically insert text into the HTML, for instance, a username, or modify other stylistic items on the page. Also, since it is an event-driven language, it reacts to events. For instance, when the page loads or when a user clicks something. It can also get information about a user's computer. For instance, the type of browser, the size of the screen. This is all important when we deal with mobile devices and tablets, not just desktop computers. Also, it can perform calculations on the user's computer using their processing power without having to send the data back to the server. Or it can do form validation. Instead of having to send all the data to the server to determine if a form or field was not filled in correctly, then send it back and have the user redo everything all over again. JavaScript has become the de facto web standard for scripting language, but unfortunately it's not supported the same way by all browsers. They interpret things a little differently, or the properties in the language are handled differently or may not even exist. As for the name, JavaScript is not related to Java other than the name, but it does share some of the same syntax, as is common among popular object-oriented languages. So some of the differences between JavaScript and Java is that JavaScript is an interpreted language, not compiled, meaning the source code is available at runtime and it is directly interpreted at that time. It has more relaxed syntax and rules, fewer and looser data types. For instance, when you declare a variable, you don't need to declare it as an int or a string. The language takes care of that for us. Errors are often silent. If an error occurs, the script simply stops. There's no message that pops up that says something went wrong. In JavaScript, a key construct is a function-driven language rather than a class-driven language. When you declare a variable, that in a sense becomes a class, and the properties and functions are available in the dot notation following that. JavaScript is also contained directly within a web page and integrates directly with its HTML and CSS content. There are some similarities between JavaScript and PHP, however, they are used for different things and purposes. One of the similarities is they are both interpreted or compiled, meaning the code executes when it gets to that particular line. Both are relaxed about syntax, rules, and types, which allows them to be used for rapid development. Both are case-sensitive. Both have built-in regular expressions for powerful text processing. But some of the main differences is JavaScript is more object-oriented. You have your object, the variable that you declared. You do a dot notation and then you call what do you want to do on it. It's a noun-verb relationship. However, with PHP, this is a verb-noun relationship. You have some action you want to do. Then you call this action to the object or the variable you want to perform it on. For instance, the string length. In JavaScript, you do the string dot length. However, in PHP, you do the size of or count, and then you call that on the string. JavaScript focuses on the UI and interaction with the document. PHP is used to build HTML documents and respond to user interaction as it relates to the server. For instance, when a user uploads a file or they fill out a form, and that information needs to be stored on the server. JavaScript runs entirely in the client's web browser, where PHP code runs entirely on the web server.